If you're here, you know what's going down. So let's cut to the chase. Yes, I'm keeping him captive until you finish this video. Why? Because I want people to start knowing more and more about my OC so I can have an interactive channel with fans that just know the lore of my OCs and everything about them. Why, you may ask? I don't. I actually have a few different categories of OCs, but this is just the one I draw the most because he's one of my favorites and the easiest to draw. So I'm going to be talking about him first, and probably whenever I start getting into more content about my other OC, then I'll make a bigger video about him too. So without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. It's Christmas Day. You finish opening your presents, the kids are playing with their toys in the lawn. Dad is sewing clothes and making shoes, and you're just about to finish the big Christmas lunch that your family loves to have every year. It's perfect. Too perfect. Suddenly, the kids that were playing outside run inside, tears streaming down their cheeks. They run to you, their older brother, and hide behind you. Your father joins you with concern, and as you try to find out the reasoning behind their crying, the door is broken off its hinges. Standing in the doorway are two gross-looking figures with gray skin and smiles with so many teeth that it looks like they may have stuffed them in there. Their eyes are sunken into their heads and hold a hunger for only something in particular. You. They take your father, then your siblings, then you. They split you up and tie you up, dragging you to a cart full of gagged and terrified-looking halflings. However, you turn just in time to watch in horror as your village, once known as the sweet and safe Pillsbury Meadows, is engulfed in flames. Before you can cry out or scream, a sharp pain stabs you in the neck, and the world goes black. This is the beginning of Holio's story. On Christmas Day, his town was raided by a neighboring species called Greymarrows that prey on halfling flesh, aka what Holio is. Naturally, they take the halflings in the villages as a food source and leave the town to be burned or abandoned entirely. By the way, a halfling is basically just a hobbit for Lord of the Rings fans. Holio's mother was a tiefling and his father was a halfling, hence the reason Holio was a tail and really bad. His mother disappeared one day and his family assumed she was dead, so his dad remarried and they had a ton of kids. Turns out halflings produce like rabbits. Anyway, back to the story. Holio wakes up in a loud area with the sounds of his friends and family crying and screams of terror drifting through what looks like to be a prison to hold the halflings while they await their fate. They've been blinded so they can't see anything and can't find a way to escape, and are only fed every so often, which is a big deal for halflings since most of their life revolves around eating and cooking meals for one another. Slowly, Holio's family is taken and eaten by the Greymarrows one by one, and he becomes one of the last halflings left inside of the prison. They aren't taking as many now since their food source is getting low and they need to save up, so Holio's kind of lucky, you could say. The halflings haven't been fed in who knows how long, so when Holio hears a loud banging on his prison doors pronouncing that dinner is about to be fed, he couldn't have been more relieved. The Greymarrows throw something into his cell. It doesn't smell that great, but what choice does Holio have? He hasn't eaten in weeks and he's starving. So he crawls around and finds it, and he can't see it, so he doesn't know what it is, but again, he's starving, so he eats it as the Greymarrows outside of his cell laugh at him for whatever reason. He doesn't take it into account, obviously, because he's quite literally dying of starvation and will eat whatever is put in front of him. The Greymarrows wait until he's finished to tell him that that was his own species. I mean, what did he expect? The only food source they have is his own species. And Holio is quite literally traumatized, and that is exactly what the Greymarrows wanted. Eventually, a key drops, and Holio finds a way to scramble out of his cell and run out of the prison. Unfortunately, he's so traumatized by everything that's been happening that he jumps off a cliff into Rushing River in an attempt to end his life. It doesn't work. He spends the night on the edge of the river, half alive with no strength. He tries again in the morning, this time holding his head under the water, but his survival instinct kicks in and that doesn't work either. With no other option, he scavenges around and finds new clothes and a sack full of supplies, including lots of money. He finds a nearby tavern, Coco's Tavern, and basically spends all the money in an attempt to drink away all the memories and pain without knowing what else to do. He stays there for about 3 days straight, even sleeping outside of the tavern or at one of the tables if it's not busy, and if Coco, the owner, is kind enough to let him. Eventually, a wandering party stops by the tavern in search of more party members and a drink. One of the party members, a tiefling with pyromaniac tendencies, sees Holio and asks if he'd like to come with them. She most likely thinks he's a cleric based off the clothes and supplies he stole, but he agrees, because he'll do anything to get away from the prison only a few hills away. The tiefling introduces herself and tells Holio she was given the nickname Pyro because of her, again, pyromaniac tendency. Holio travels with the party and develops the grumpy, snappy, protective personality we all know him to have now. In the end, he helps the party and grows closer to one person in particular, Pyro. 8-Bit says something about how she also has some struggles from her past, or how sweet and patient she is, but he can't help but feel drawn to her. In the end, Pyro and Holio end up getting married and moving into a bigger hobbit-looking house, where they occasionally join new parties to go on adventures again. Now that we're past the traumatizing lore, we can get to the fun facts. Yeah! Pyro actually isn't my OC, it's my friend's OC, and Holio used to be an NPC, and we basically just got them married and made them this entire lore thing. So yeah, basically Holio is a 4'1", very grumpy halfling. He basically doesn't like anybody else except for his wife, obviously, because his wife is just like the only person he loves, because yes, he enjoys like cooking and baking, and he's actually a seamster and owns a shop. So yes, he does care about like clothing and fashion, because he just will never admit it in front of his friends. Like, he'll admit it in front of like people that come to his shop, just like not in front of his party members, because he would never ever hear the end of it. He has this necklace that has H+P on it, and it's a locket. Inside it's a photo of him and his wife. It's so cute! Another fun fact is that he actually had a lover, and was actually going to propose to her just a few days after the raids of the Greymarrows happened, and he thought she was dead, so he was like, because like everybody else he knows died. Turns out she wasn't, and she ends up finding him, and he's married. So yeah, if you ever see me posting about her name's Daisy, and yeah, their lore is low-key kind of depressing. Holio has nightmares a lot, like from PTSD and stuff, of all of the stuff he remembers, and thankfully after marrying Pyro and, you know, all of that, it helped him. So Pyro tends to set their houses on fire. It's their third house. And so he's like forbid her from going near any source of fire. Like, she literally cannot do that. Basically, Holio is just like a little guard dog for his wife, which is funny. His wife is like a red tiefling. She's taller than him, probably like a little under average for a tiefling. I wouldn't know, I'd have to ask. But she's kind of like shy, but not. I don't really know how to explain it. So basically, that's like most of the lore and the fun facts, and I don't want to explain too much of it. And yeah, so that's it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. I know I was rambling a lot, but it really means a lot to me for people to really care about my OCs and want to learn about them. Make sure to keep checking in on my channel. Help me fulfill my dream of it becoming an interactive channel, and just ask questions, tell me what you like about it, and please return with all the shorts that I spent a lot of time on. Also, make sure to go check the video out that, like, the animation I was doing in the background, I have already finished, so make sure to go check that out. And yeah, without further ado, thank you so much for watching the video. Please make sure to help my channel grow and become an interactive channel, and just have an amazing day. And Holio was let free. Yay, he's no longer imprisoned. So yeah, bye!